Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody feeling today? I hope the answer is amazing. So we're going to get into this. This is kind of a newish series that we're doing for expeditions. I'm really enjoying the format. I like the way that we have some of the cards cut out, the way that it kind of allows for some builds that we didn't have before, while still allowing some of the kind of powerful stuff that we still see in the normal constructed queue. It's letting us also go back and explore some older deck ideas that have fallen to the wayside because they never really got any additional support, or at least not enough support to really make them work. So this is one of those examples. This is a new take on the old Witching Hour decks. If you don't know what those are, the old Witching Hour decks were designed around the concept of vomiting out a bunch of units and cards using things like Grenadin drones and the assembly line, and then also using things like quarry to draw more cards and discount cards and just kind of churn through, find cards, dig through, and eventually play the Witching Hour for cheap or free. So this is that same kind of idea, except that we've also kind of put in a little bit more of an aggro component. Now, as you can see, our curve is a little bit weird. We don't really have much in the ways of fours in the deck itself. That's just because there weren't a lot of things we wanted to put in there. But what we do have is we do have the Grenadin drone, the assembly line, and some of those cards, Seek Power, Devour so that we can draw deeper, things that help us dig through the deck to find the Witching Hour and then cast the Witching Hour cheap. But a few things that we didn't have whenever the original version of the deck was around was the smugglers and merchants, of course. We didn't really have those. Now, people have tried, after merchants came out, making newer versions of it, and some of those included like blue to add sheep tokens and all kinds of stuff like that. And those are really interesting, but ultimately in normal constructed, the deck just hasn't been powerful enough. I've found that here in expeditions, it sits at just that nice power level. I'd call it about a tier 2 expedition deck, maybe. Because you can do some really fun degenerate things that hopefully you'll get to see. The Calderan Gunsmith helps us push damage and get reach, but also combos with one of the other newer cards for the deck, which is Sigil, Hand of the Cabal. If you have a couple of Grenadin out and a Sigil, Hand of the Cabal, when you drop your Calderan Gunsmith, Sigil deals damage, which activates her ability, but every other unit, including the Calderan Gunsmith, also did damage, further activating their abilities. Then, if you still need more power, you can swing with the Sigil, and you're still going to get power for everybody that the Calderan Gunsmith caused to deal damage. So even if you don't swing with any of your other units, let's say that you've got a Grenadin drone in place, so you've got 2 Grenadin, and then you've got the Sigil in hand, so that's 3 units. You drop the Calderan Gunsmith. You're going to hit your opponent for 4. You're going to gain 4 power. Then if you need, you can swing with the Sigil and gain 5 more power because Sigil will have done damage again. Or, I'm sorry, you'll gain 4 more power because Sigil's already dealt damage. I'm sorry, take that back. Not 5, 4. You'll gain 4 more power. So basically, you drop a Calderan Gunsmith and you end up gaining 3 power as long as you have at least like a Grenadin drone in play. And if you lower it down to 2, that just means you drop the Calderan Gunsmith for the cost of 1, but you also manage to deal quite a bit of, some damage to your opponent. I'm sorry, for 3. So if you have like an Incendiary Slagmite or just 1 Grenadin in play. So as long as you have 1 other unit in play with Sigil when you drop the Calderan Gunsmith, it actually ends up gaining you power over the course of the thing, especially if you can then, get in there and just do some more damage somewhere. So really cool little extra added effect to this. The market is really just a fun market. We have a bottoms up. I'm using this instead of rally because I find that being able to stack the amplify onto the same unit gives us a little bit more flexibility. Also, bottoms up works if we have fewer units. So later in the game, when maybe we only have 1 or 2 Grenadin that might make it through, a bottoms up will let us push through that extra damage, whereas a rally would only get ever 2 through if we have 1 unit or if like there are a bunch of blockers. Urn of Choking Embers, this is good to grab early. It prevents your opponent from being able to put down a lot of blockers so that you can get them with the kind of little guys go wide game idea, especially if you're able to like remove one or two things and then they're trying to sit there and put blockers out. You drop an urn, suddenly their blockers can't block and you're able to push more damage. Furious or Furnace Mage, because we just might need to kill an attachment of some kind. And then Furious Compulsion, once again, this is just kind of a fun one. The thing to note about this is, while yes, the spell is bad, the bonus that you get, this rune really does, I think, need the same treatment as the Perilous Research, because Furious Compulsion is not worth it at 4, especially not being fast. So your units gain +1. That is a permanent +1. So if you have a wide board, you can give everything a permanent +1. And then you get the headshot spell, but you'll notice that costs 7. So you deal 7 damage to an enemy, but then your units all get double damage over them. So that one is fine. 7 damage to an enemy, your units get double damage over them is potentially huge amounts of damage. But the first half of it, the Furious Compulsion, that the headshot part, I really think like Perilous, it probably needs to go down to 3, but we're testing it out. And then of course a Deathstrike just for some extra removal. For the non-Witching Hour package stuff in here, Combust for removal since we make a lot of tokens. Seek Power to help us get to the 6 shadow necessary to cast the Witching Hour. Torch because it's best removal spell in the format. Devour to help us draw, gain us some life. It kind of... with the Grenadin drone and then using Devour, we end up getting a 1.5 for 2. So it gives us a little bit over. And if we use it with like a Scraptank, we can... Oh, I was forgot to talk about Scraptank. We'll look at that one. Scraptank is one of the classic ones that we worked with Witching Hour because it creates 3 units, which gives us a 3 discount for Witching Hour. And then it can just like grow. So if Combust or Devour gets used, you get to get the effect of the Combust or the Devour, plus you get to grow your Scraptank. It just kind of helps out a lot in that route. And then I'm trying out Mob Rule since we have this kind of go wide strategy. We're giving Mob Rule a try because yeah, maybe it'll work. And it's a fast removal spell, and if we manage to kind of get through damage with it, then cool. And then the last card that I don't think we looked at was the Incendiary Slagmite. We're putting this in here because this card just needs some love. It needs to be played. It's just never played anywhere. And you would think that like Mono Fire would want to play it because it's kind of an aggressive card, but it turns out they don't, because they usually kill their opponent before the market's going to matter that much. If we see a lot more like Huru style stuff coming back, and like we see a lot of people putting Hailstorms in the market, maybe we're going to see this card played more. But for the most part, it's unfortunate you don't see this. And the thing I love about Incendiary Slagmite that maybe a lot of people don't know is the way that it works. It tells you that, you know, when you onslaught, you secretly choose a card in the new player's market. They don't know what that card is. So you basically are playing a kind of a 3-card Monty game with them. I guess 5-card Monty because there's 5 cards in the market. But they don't know what you picked. And so you can play some pretty cool mind games with people where you're like, okay, well, they probably think I'm going to pick this, but I'm going to pick that. Unless you think your opponent's like not really that up on paying attention. In which case, just pick the best card that's going to be the one that wreck you. Like, for instance, earlier that Hailstorm thing. If you put the Incendiary Slagmite in and you target their Hailstorm, they play their Merchant and they grab their Hailstorm. Their Hailstorm, after they grab it, turns into a Firebomb and dings them for 5. So it can potentially deal, you know, a lot of damage. But it doesn't see any play because it's just, unfortunately, it's just not good enough. That's just the way of it. I really think that a lot of these weird trigger market hate cards probably should just be on summon instead, because like we have Incendiary Slagmite with Onslaught, we have Bam with Shift, and I just think that they would see a lot more play if we had them be on summon effects. But, you know, that's just me. Maybe the next set, they'll push it a little more and they'll interact a little more and they just don't want to hose markets too bad. We'll see what happens. And then, of course, we have the power. Now, this is the reason you play Stonescar in Stonescar and Combri specifically, and maybe a little bit of Arcana, but mostly Stonescar and Combri and Thelm in the expeditions, is because, oh, glory of glories, we get Insignia, Banner, and Seat, so we have a really good way of fixing our influence costs versus like if you play Xenon and all you have is a Seat. So yeah, power base is pretty simple. Play the Insignia, play the Banner, play the Chaos, and then just dump in the rest of the power. We don't need coins in here. They don't help us out, and they slow us down too much because we have 5 drops. And then, of course, the the monuments had never been worth playing, so we don't have those in here because we do need to get up to a little bit. Now, potentially we could put monuments in here because Witching Hour is non-power cards, but honestly, I just don't think they're worth it. So let's get to some games. We'll probably put about 3 games into this and see what we can do. Okay, game 1 here against opponent's name I can't read. So looking at this hand, this is definitely not a keepable hand. 1 power, technically 3 power with the Seek power, so I guess we kind of could keep it since we're doing a Witching Hour thing. We don't have a turn 1 play. Let's think about this for a moment. Now, usually my rule for mulligans is if you don't have a turn 1 or turn 2 play, you should probably not keep it. But in this case, I mean, we kind of do have a turn 1. We're going to play a Sigil, play a Seek power. So how would we feel if these were just power? Would we keep this hand? And I think the answer is yes, we would. So because we're playing Witching Hour, at first I thought it was unkeepable, but I kind of talked myself around. Only because we're playing a Witching Hour deck, so these actually help discount the Witching Hours. So we'll see what happens. Oh, and we made a horrible mistake. We're against Mono Fire. Well, let's see what happens here. Let's see if we get there. Now, normally these would be our fixing, which is part of the downside of picking them the way that we did. This is oh, okay, well, it's Rakano. I guess I should have known that. I should have looked at their power. So they start with an Oni Ronin, follow up with a Champion of Glory, and we are in a rough state, ladies and gentlemen. A rough state indeed. We're gonna go ahead and kill this one now, might as well. Either way, we were going to be using it because if we torch this, if we're going to kill this one, we need to torch it before they get a second Warcry off. So we might as well use that before they put a weapon on it, because you cannot respond to weapons, of course. You guys all know this. Okay, here we go. So this is what I was talking about the downside of the Incendiary Slagmite. Like, I want to play it, but it's not going to block better than the Sinway Smuggler. And then the other thing is I'm not going to get the effect off of it. So we're probably not going to end up doing that. I think we might want to use the Urn of Choking Embers. I don't know what they'll have in the way of charge units, but they might have some. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that. Let's go ahead and get rid of the... man, this is hard. The Devour or the Combust? Actually, no, let's get rid of the Scraptank since we can't play it for now. Let's grab the Urn, and then next turn, well, we're probably going to end up blocking, but if we weren't going to block, we would swing with this and then drop the Incendiary Slagmite. And there's Torch, like I said, best removal in the format. Opponent drops a Fire Sigil, swings with their Oni. We're getting wrecked. And drops a Crown Watch Deserter. Oh, man. We need some of our smaller Grenadin here. We so desperately need some smaller Grenadin. Our opponent has another Torch. Okay. I assume. Opponent reading the card. Opponent has... yeah, there's a second Torch. Guys, remember, your Fire opponent is always going to have 2 torches. Just remember, Fire always has 2 torches. Please, can I get a Grenadin? Grenadin Drone would get us out of this. Because we know that the 2 Warcry earlier went onto this. Oh, that is not a Grenadin Drone. That is a Slagmite. Not where we wanted to be. We wanted a Grenadin Drone. That is a Grenadin. Oh, they have a 3rd Torch. Opponent's got a 3rd Torch. Or that's a Finest Hour. Probably a Torch, though. We actually can get out of this if we draw our drone. Okay. Oh, it was a Finest Hour. Okay. Opponent going super aggressive with their Finest Hour. We're okay with this. Oh, Righteous Fury. That's why. They're going to deal 10 to us. Please, can we find that Grenadin Drone and them not find a Torch? The answer is no. The answer is no. Served by our own deck. Well, that was game 1. Not a typical game with this deck, but hey, it happens. Okay, game 2 against Zerlin. Hopefully we'll get a little better than the last game. This one is... let's see, we have a turn 2 play, but it's not really a good one. So we're going to go ahead and draw again. See what we get here. This time, once again, we got a turn 2 play. The Shuffler's being pretty mean to us today. So let's redraw one more time. And this time we've got... oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's our own fault for putting these cards in our deck, right? Right? That's how we should look at it. It's our own fault for putting these cards in our deck. Pass the turn, all power. We're going to need to draw some non-power cards. Let's see what happens. Opponent on Justice of some kind, most powerful color in the game, so it makes sense. Pass turn back to our opponent. Combust is good if we can get some tokens. Opponent, are they mono justice? This will be interesting. Not a second sill. Out of 68 cards, we had to draw a second sill. That's unfortunate. And Order of the Spire. Oh, this is not good. We need a Grenadin. Oh, no. Well, it was, we have a chance. Just not much of one. We're giving our opponent infinite turns to develop their board, which is a good way to just absolutely lose games. So there's a torch. We're going to need to torch. Oh, man. Let's go and torch this one because this one can't gain Aegis. They probably have a stand together, and if they or a finest hour, and if they do, we just lose. Yep. There's the finest hour. Oh, this is well, guys. I mean, you get to watch the painful effects of variance sometimes. Play the sill. Sill can maybe block. If not, we can mob rule the hero, I guess. This is definitely not what we wanted to have happen. Opponent. This game is all yours, opponent. Like, we got nothing. Block here in case they have one stand together. Okay, because if we blocked here, they could have killed our sill without us being able to... Oh, okay, they just have Retribution. Okay. Well, here we go. Blockers. We got blockers. So we can block both of these two. Let this one through for 2. This will go up to a 5/5. That's not really a good way to do it. How are we going to do this? Next turn, if they don't play out... Okay, so we need to block. How are we going to block? Well, we actually need to block this way. Okay, no finest. That's good. I needed that to not be that. Play the sill. Should have played the Seek Power first. That was a mistake. That was a punt. Punt counter. Put it up there. Okay. Opponent messed up and didn't attack first. I'm good with this. Oh, although that deals the 4/3. Never mind. No blocks. I forgot about the stun effect, and opponent gets it. Well. Okay, let's try for game 3. Game 3! Can we have our deck serve up not an absolute trash pile hand? Well, this is... If we need to, we can drop the Incendiary on turn 2, or we can just wait and drop it on turn 4 to get the Onslaught effect, or we could just redraw this. I think we redraw this one. This one is not any more playable, but... Is it worth not going to 6? I think it's still... I think it's worth not going to 6. 6 is just so bad. Okay, being down a card and knowing that you're only going to have actually 4 playable cards at the most, since you will have at least 2 power, is rough. Really, really, really rough. Okay. Stonehewer. Okay, that's going to be a cool little thing. We're going to start out with the banner, because that one's going to come into play depleted. This will set us up for our turn 3. If we happen to draw Grenadin, that'll be good for us. If not, well, then we don't. We did not, so we're going to play the Seed of Chaos, pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent will swing, probably the wise choice. Drop something. Oh, opponent is power screwed. That's in our favor. We're going to throw back one of these power to pick up something. Probably the urn. Mostly we just need to get a unit out here. If the opponent swings, we're going to be more than happy to swing back in. I mean, we could also grab the Furnace Mage. Let's grab the Furnace Mage just in case they have weapons. Also, it's a unit that we can play, and I mean, we don't really need the urn right now. This is not seeming like the deck we need an urn against. Okay, well, that's pretty good for us. We can play this, which allows us to do that. Mob rule our opponent. Get in there for 3. Sorry that you got power screwed this time, opponent. We've been living that life, so sorry it happened to you. There we go. Opponent found their second color. They were Ricano. Okay. Well, we have a game now at least. Glad we got the Furnace Mage. I think we're just gonna go ahead and deal with that unit. Swing with these two. I think we're not gonna play out the Sinway Smuggler because I feel like we're gonna want to eat this and draw cards. And we don't really want to get rid of anything, so let's go ahead and pass the turn to our opponent. There's something to be said for devouring now in case we wanted to play power, but if our opponent goes to kill one of these, then it'll be nice to steal that kill away with the Devour.
Hit me and I bite back.
She does say bite back, right? Right? I swear this card says hit me and I bite back. I mean, she probably says fight back, but it sounds so much like she says bite back. Well, opponent has no power, so we're going to go ahead and torch this. Whee! Torch! Then we're going to go grab some extra... do we want removal? You know what? No, we're going to do this. We're going to take this. We're going to put this back. We're going to play it. We're going to keep this since we know we need that. We're going to keep that. We're going to put back this one. And we're going to grab that Fire Sigil back. Put it out there. Swing for 3. That's going to allow us to play both of our 5-drops, which is going to be really nice. I think we're going to play the Sigil first. Sil. I'm not entirely sure how to say her name. Phoenix Stone. Oh, that is not what I consider to be in the realm of playable cards. But I mean, if you're a super aggressive deck, maybe. This is where the urn would be hilarious because this. Oh no, because it transforms. It doesn't come into play, so the urn wouldn't affect it. It's a really. They had to pattern this card really weirdly in order to make it work, and it unfortunately makes the card not have much synergy. Like, you can't give it permanent buffs. All it can ever do is swing. It can't defend. It's an unfortunate card because you have to pay 2 for it constantly. And here we are with a bonus 4th game since we got a couple of rocky ones. See if we can get a game where we can actually play out our hand properly. This time it's a no again. Moving on to the next hand. Here we have basically a 5 power hand. We know our next one can't be 5 power. It has to be 2 to 4 power, but means we could have only 1 playable versus 2 playables. I guess we'll try keeping this. It's definitely not good. We have been getting some rough hands here, but that's okay. It happens. Pass turn to our opponent. Always go find the Shadow Sigils because you need to make sure you get to 6 as long as you have your fire, and you only need 2 fire. So once we have 2, we're good. Another Feln opponent. Probably a very good idea. Play this one out. Now we're going to want to hold this to hit their sweepers out of their market. Mostly because I just assume that Feln is going to have sweepers in the market because they're usually pretty bad to put in the main. Here we're going to play this out, play it normally. We don't need this Fire Sigil, so we're going to put that one back. And I think we're going to grab the Urn of Choking Embers because champions, if they drop the champion with Aegis, this will drop the Aegis effect. It also stops any Haunting Scream effects. So we're going to see what we can do with that. Oh, Midnight Gale. That was definitely unexpected. So let's go ahead and swing with this. See if they block. They probably have a Haunting Scream. Oh, they don't. Okay. Drop this. Drop this. No market, so that was unfortunate. That's the other problem with these, is like you spend all that time to go, and sometimes your opponent just doesn't have a market. And pass to the opponent. They're going to swing and get their life steal going, probably. Hopefully we find a torch, so we can deal with this. Urn is nice because they're not going to be able to drop a blocker. And also if they're running, the, what is it, Nightmare, Recurring Nightmare, it just stops that cold. That'll be funny if we see a Recurring Nightmare out of our opponent. We're going to drop the Scraptank first, followed by the Gunsmith. This hand ended up developing pretty nicely. This is probably going to get killed. Opponent, well, I don't know what, it's just a merchant opponent. It doesn't do anything. Do you have a Vara's Favor? Vara's Favor would be good on this one. It'd kill it. Permafrost. Oh, Permafrost is perfect because that lets us still use it as a resource. Swing for 3 first, just in case. Drop the Scraptank. Now, the nice thing about the Scraptank is it kind of acts as a lightning rod. People are going to want to kill the Scraptank before they kill anything else. which is just kind of helpful for us. And the next turn, we're going to drop this Calderan Gunsmith, and it's going to be pretty sweet. Okay, now they can drop the champion, and it will not be tapped, but it will lose its Aegis, which means if we draw a Combust or a Mob Rule, we can kill it. Okay, another Gale ready. I'm assuming they swing with this to gain the 4, and then... Ooh, that's a Sill. I think we're going to try to go for that. I think we're going to try to go for the Sill play here. Hopefully this works. Opponent is winning this race if we don't find a removal. If we do not find a removal, opponent is... Well, I'm not completely winning, but they're winning this race pretty good. They can swing with the 4-3 that doesn't have lifesteal to keep the other one back. Or they just hit us for 8. So they have us dead next turn if we can't kill them. And it's going to be very hard for us to do that. Combust helps here. So we can swing. That would be 3, 6, 7, 8, 12. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's exactly 19. Wow. Okay then.
With this, you can.
Let's drop the Calderan Gunsmith first. This technically gives us more power. So we didn't get to make use of the power, but I'll show you how much power we can get. Oh, we didn't get to see the trigger go off, but we were going to gain all of that again for the 6 people. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, and that is our Expedition Hour deck. Try it out. You can see it's got some play. It can get some rough hands. There may be some things you want to change out if you want to take the Sill combo out, for instance. I just really enjoy it because I love combos. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.